Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome back to another episode of Those Two Girls. New Year, same two girls, with your hosts, Lan and
Val.
We are so excited. It's been a while, but
It's been a minute,
yes.
And usually we would want to break down everything going on, but today's going to be a special episode because there's just too much buzz going on with the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni lawsuit, and I feel like what better time than to have an actual timeline, just breaking down everything that happened so it's just more digestible for the viewers.
1000%. I feel like there's so much information everywhere, and I'm like, I just need someone to break it down from start to finish. So that's exactly what we're going to do.
Yeah,
today.
And mind you, by the time this is, there's going to be more. Like, do not blink, because every 2 seconds there's something new happening. But here's what we got.
Just for a disclaimer, this was filmed on January 5th, 2025. So anything after that is not covered here, but at least you get like the gist of it.
You get the gist.
You get the gist. All right, so should we just like kick it off?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, we're starting from the beginning, guys. So it all starts in 2019, where Justin Baldoni's production company, Wayfair Studios, acquired the rights to Colleen Hoover's book, It Ends With Us, which she wrote in 2016. So he actually wrote a letter to Colleen Hoover expressing how much he loves the book. He was very passionate about it. He basically said, you know, if this book affected me this much and I'm like a man reading it, imagine how much it's going to affect other women who have experienced domestic violence in their life. So I'm saying that because I want to start with like how passionate he was and how much he loved the movie. During this exchange, Colleen Hoover also asked him if he could play Ryle. Now, they had already decided that he was going to be the director. But Justin's like, to play two roles, like, I don't know if that's a lot. I'm already director. I'm Ryle. But she convinced him, basically said, you're perfect for the part. And he finally agreed. So he's Ryle. Okay. Now we're fast forwarding to January of 2023. So what, like 4 years later, 2019 to 2023?
Right.
Yeah. So 4 years later, Blake Lively is casted as Lily Bloom. Apparently, Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively had a 3-hour meeting discussing the role and the film and everything. And after that meeting, you know, they leave and he texts her, you are Lily Bloom, period. Okay? I don't know. We'll get to this later. Our thoughts.
That was probably the most regretful text message he's ever sent in his life.
Yes.
Like, hindsight 2020?
2020, dude. 2020. She's cast as Lily Bloom, but she's also brought on as an executive producer. Okay, so she's brought on as an executive producer.
Which I heard too was like part of the contract thing. Like if she was going to do it, that she had to have an executive producer part.
Yes,
it was like part of the whole thing. And I heard too that it was part of like, or she wouldn't promote it, and she kept like threatening little things.
Yes, right? Exactly, and that came out later on.
Okay.
So about that, but that is true. Also important to note, I think. A lot of people have said that if Blake Lively, and I think she herself has said this, that if she's going to do a film, she needs to make sure that like she is embodied in that, and she needs to look over the script, make all these changes. So it makes sense that she would want to be an executive producer because she has a history of kind of like being a little bit intrometida and like all this shit, okay? Like
I kind of have a theory on that too.
Ooh, okay.
A side note theory really quick, just because it has to do with blind items, you know? And
love them.
when you don't know, just go back in time with blind items.
Yes.
Because at the time they seem a little crazy, a little ridiculous, you know? But when it comes to Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's relationship, again and again, there was blind items throughout the years that every time she gets a part, Ryan Reynolds gets really upset because of the romantic scenes. And X, Y, and Z. So I feel like this is kind of her segue into making him, you know, like appeasing him by having a stronger role, you know, because now she's an executive. What is she going to do next? She's going to direct the next movie she does, you know?
Makes sense. Makes sense. To kind of like steam it over with her husband in case he's like angry. I can totally see that.
Exactly.
I can totally see that. Okay, so she's casted as Lily Bloom, executive producer. However, fans are pissed. So on the It Ends With Us Instagram, they put, everyone meet your Lily Bloom. And here is Blake Lively with fake redhead orange hair. Okay. Like, so people are pissed because, I read the book and I was pissed because in the book, Lily Bloom is a redhead. Blake Lively, not redhead. She's blonde. Can they dye her hair or whatever to make her look cute? Fine. We overlooked that. However, Lily Bloom is 23 years old in the book. So everyone's like, okay, we're not like age shaming here. Like we're about to be literally in our mid-30s, but like, you know, she's not 23 years old. Like she's
pushing 40.
Yeah, she's pushing 40. People are very passionate about the book. Like I'm telling you, this book, like,
you wanted to reflect what you read.
Exactly. So, and you know when you read books, and we've talked about this, where you create the characters in your head.
Gossip Girl. I can't.
Oh, yeah.
I could not watch Gossip Girl.
Yeah, because you read the Gossip Girl books.
The entire series.
And you
obsessed. And when it came out as a show, it's just like,
it ruined it
this
for you.
is not what I read.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. No, 1,000%. So people are pissed about that. Colleen Hoover did come out and say that she messed up Lily Bloom's age in the book, so she wanted to correct it in the movie. So then people were kind of like, whatever. Like, she said that she should have been older, so whatever. So now they start filming, right? And while they're filming, videos and pictures start to come out. Mainly, the concern was around Blake Lively's outfits as Lily Bloom. Like, she looked like absolute trash. Homeless. It was just not okay. So people are like, it's so frustrating because it's like, we're already annoyed that you're Lily Bloom. And on top of that, Lily Bloom is a crackhead homeless girl now. Like, what is that? Like, it's just not it. Like, she's a cute girl. Like, and I mean, and maybe it was never said that she was a cute girl, but like, you just like assume that she's a cute girl. At least dresses normally. Like, put her in jeans and a t-shirt.
Exactly. No, it's 100%. What pissed me off, and mind you, I did not read the book.
Right.
So I don't know if Lily Bloom is like, you know what I mean, homeless chic trying to friggin' like, you know what I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. But what pissed me off was that I feel like they portray, and I did watch the movie, they portray her as like kind of like a humble person. You know, she opened this little flower shop because she's passionate about it, but she's wearing Louboutins.
Yes! Oh my God, I wanted to get to that.
Like,
not only Louis Vuittons, Blake Lively's Louis Vuittons and Gigi Hadid's clothes.
Yeah, she borrowed all these expensive clothing. Like, we're supposed to just like create this like very humble,
right?
You know, relatable person. And she's walking around with red bottoms, honey.
Dude, when I saw that in the movie, I was like, come on, girl. Like, come on. So...
And they made, like, the shots so, like, you know, when she's walking, or even when they're dancing, and you see, like, the red bottom heel.
Yes.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, they want to make it clear, like, you know, fashion statement. But it doesn't match. And I know as a reader, that would piss me off.
That did piss me off.
Yeah.
And I think as a reader, I think what I recall in the book is that her family had money. Maybe, but like that's not the type of person she was in the book. Like she was like this humble person, whatever. So that fans are freaking livid over that. And so also at the time the writers' strike happened, remember, where everyone like kind of stopped like filming or whatever. So they had to stop filming, and people were kind of like at least like excited that it was like, okay, maybe also they'll fix the outfits and maybe they'll reshoot because they have to shoot more anyway. No, so they kept the outfits. So.
But after that SAG strike or whatever, before they started filming again, do you remember the list of things that they had to sign off on?
So yes, after that, it comes out that during this time, Blake Lively has this very famous, that we all know now, list of demands of what she needs in order to return filming as Lily Bloom. So that did happen. And then they returned filming, so everyone thinks that everything is like dandy, but no. Now we're promoting the movie. Justin Baldoni is not on any red carpet events with any of the cast, and he's also not in any interviews. So people are like, what's going on here? You know, at one time I thought maybe it was a way they were promoting the film because like of their characters in the movie. So maybe they want to like create this like
division,
yeah, to get people talking and be like, oh, is it like it's just PR? Like this is just how they're promoting the film. No,
and we even thought that maybe it was like a PR stunt.
Exactly.
You know, just like a what is it, The Darling?
Oh, Don't Worry, Darling.
You know how it was like there was drama before even the movie, so we didn't know if it was a PR stunt or not.
Yes.
But it was just very strange, just the contrast between all those interviews that they did.
So strange. Well,
and the fact that they were never together. But make it a point, or Blake made it a point to be seen with the entire cast.
The entire cast, not Justin Baldoni. Also, so people start to realize that. So then the internet sleuths do what the internet sleuths do best. They go to Instagram and they notice that Justin Baldoni is not following Blake Lively and Blake Lively is not following Justin Baldoni. Then they do a little more digging and they realize that the entire cast is following Blake Lively, nobody is following Justin Baldoni. So now everyone's kind of like, okay, there's something going on there. Like, it could be PR, but there's something deeper.
Definitely.
While this is all happening, all of these old interviews of Blake Lively are coming out, right? Like the interview of like the lady with the baby bump, and she's like, "How's your baby bump?" or something.
Yeah,
like,
congrats on your baby bump. Congrats on your bump.
On your bump. Also, I think, didn't the interview say that she had also just given birth or something, so she was super insecure at that time? Did she say that? Something like that? So
no. She was pregnant.
She was pregnant. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know why she felt like it was rude for someone to say congrats on your bump. Maybe it's because it's like saying you're showing. Maybe she was early on. I don't know.
What is the issue with that though?
It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't if you are pregnant. You know what I mean? It's just like, what the heck?
It doesn't make sense. But I was saying, like, I think, and I don't know, I could be making this up, so I'm going to say allegedly. Didn't the interviewer, the one who said congrats on your bump, say that she actually had given birth not too long ago, or no, and that she was the one?
I didn't know that.
I don't know,
but that would make sense too, and that would be even
So that interview comes out,
but so not even that too. It's like what's her name, Parker, whatever her.
What a weirdo.
They completely ignore the interviewer and just have their own side conversation. I felt so bad, like, because you feel those feelings of just being completely ignored when you're like trying to have conversation in a group.
Exactly, especially when you're there. You're probably so excited, like, oh my gosh, I'm about to interview Blake Lively, like already nervous, already like, you know, a little intimidated, and then they make it worse for you, like and then so all these other interviews with her start coming out. While these old interviews are coming out, she is flopping her current interviews and the way she is marketing this movie. Okay, so not only are her current interviews flopping, which we can get into in a second, but in conjunction with promoting the movie, she is also promoting her hair care line because, of course, domestic violence plus hair care equals total success. Like, no, makes no fucking sense, right? So people are like annoyed. And then she does interviews and she's like, grab your girls and wear your favorite floral pajamas and come watch It Ends with us. Like, trying to make it this like light, fun, girly, happy movie.
The amount of people that thought it was a rom-com
that didn't read the book, right? Like,
you think you're going in there to watch like a, you know, Love Anyway or whatever, and it's literally a domestic violence film, and it's supposed to be powerful, but she didn't. You know, she didn't market it that way, and it was crazy too with the interviews. It's she was just so tone deaf from everything, from her body language. Remember that interview where she's on the couch like sprawled out,
and
like
he
just
asked
chilling?
Her,
oh my gosh,
I was gonna get into that, dude. Yeah, so he asks her, he's like, you know, if someone comes up to you on the street and basically says like they were so touched by this movie, like it really impacted them, what would you say to them? And what does homegirl respond? She's like, oh, well, I would be like, do you want my location? Do you want my phone number? Like, what do you want? Because like I'm a Virgo, so I ask these questions.
As her feet, or bare feet or something, are on the couch, and she's like twirling her hair. It was like this. It was just the most absurd thing. And not just that, it's like, you notice that in every single interview, not only is she, first of all, ignoring the domestic violence with its entirety, like the subject of it, and trying to just make it Lily empowering. She does not mention Justin Baldoni at all. And she gets questioned on like their chemistry, how she would skip over him every single time. And guess what else? The only other thing coming out of her mouth was her husband's name. Do you remember that?
Dude.
Like, Wolverine versus Deadpool? That's
They were
weird.
trying to make like a Barbenheimer moment happen. And it's like, stop trying to make it happen. Deadpool and It Ends With Us is not happening.
And the florals.
Also, the tone-deaf interview that Ryan Reynolds did with her co-star who played Atlas, Brandon, about being a jealous husband.
And he was trying to be so funny.
It was like, and it's not funny because the whole movie's about domestic violence. That's so tone-deaf.
It's so tone-deaf.
Like, you're literally promoting like some weird like controlling husband when in the book and in the movie, Ryle is a controlling abuser, and like that's what you're trying to portray to promote both films. Like, who the fuck is their PR people? That was so bad. That was awful. Also, when she's asked about him in the interviews, just about Justin Baldoni, dodges him. And people, by the way, I want to say this from early on right now, people picked up on their chemistry because every time she's asked about it, they're like, you and Justin's chemistry in the movie, like, oh my gosh, it was palpitating. It was amazing. And she's like, yeah, so anyway, tomorrow, I'm like totally not addressing it. when Justin Baldoni is asked about Blake Lively in interviews,
completely different.
How highly did he speak of her?
Praises her.
I
love it. Like, even when he's secretly, throwing shade, I caught that.
Yeah.
I got that. You know, and they're like, oh, what about the sequel? He's like, oh, I don't know. I really think Blake is ready to direct.
He's like, because I'm fucking obviously done with this shit and I'm
She
kicked out.
directed this one.
Eye twitching. Okay, so all of this is happening. Also, so rumors are starting to spread that there is this drift, or this conflict between them because Justin Baldoni was fat shaming her on set, allegedly, okay. Baldoni was kissing her for too long during some scenes, okay, allegedly, and didn't know where to touch her. Now, you remember when they were filming, that video came out of her showing him where to place his hand.
Aggressively pulling her in.
Acting as the intimacy coordinator, which she said in an interview, she goes, and that shouldn't happen, you guys. Right? So yeah. Oh, and also because Ryan Reynolds was way too involved, which then we find out about the rooftop scene. Do you remember? And this is when it comes out around this time that people are starting to find out that the infamous, because in the book it was the infamous rooftop scene, Ryan Reynolds wrote that.
Yep.
Why is he writing?
And not just that, Justin Baldoni didn't know.
Right.
He didn't know about it.
Oh, Lord. So at this time, obviously, the internet has completely turned on Blake Lively. Also, Justin Baldoni hired during this time Johnny Depp's crisis management PR firm, so something to note. And it's also leaked. So much happened during the movie premiere. It's so much that there were actually two versions of the movie. Okay, there was Blake's version and there was Justin Baldoni's version. Justin Baldoni's version actually scored higher to viewers, and it apparently had focused more on the domestic violence than Blake's did. However,
Right.
Sony still went with Blake's version of the movie. So kind of annoying for someone who was so passionate about the book, was for years and years working with Colleen on this, to then kind of felt like at the time what the public saw was that it was all just being stripped away from him and he was kind of being kicked out of everything, which not cool. Okay, so that's all in August of 2023. Now we're fast forwarding to December 9th, 2024. Justin Baldoni is awarded, and this is important because something happens later on, is awarded at Vital Voices event celebrating men who elevate women. So he's awarded something for empowering women. Now we fast forward to December 21, 2024. This is when Blake Lively files the lawsuit against Justin Baldoni for sexual harassment. So in the lawsuit, she claimed that Justin exhibited behavior that caused her severe emotional distress. Okay. It also stated in the lawsuit, remember we were talking about that list of demands, the number of requirements that she needed in order to work on the film. Some of those were, which started to get people talking, no more showing nude videos of women to Blake, no more mentioning Baldoni's alleged previous pornography addiction. Kind of fucked up that they're kind of putting that out there. He's talked about it himself, though. No more discussion of sexual conquests in front of Blake Lively. No further mentions of cast and crew's genitalia.
I don't...
No more inquiries about Blake's weight. No more adding sex scenes, oral sex, or on-camera climaxing by Blake outside the scope of the script she approved when signing onto the project. Okay. So now we're reading this. Oh, and it also said that Justin was the one and his PR team who started a campaign to destroy her reputation. So we're finding all about this now. Well, in the lawsuit, there's also the text messages, right? That now we're reading and we're like, oh, wait, so the public starts to turn on Justin. Mm-hmm. Because text messages are being released. There was one specifically, the Hailey Bieber one, where supposedly Justin sent to his PR team, what was it, an article of
it was
how
basically
people hate Hailey Bieber. She's a bully. Yes. And and then him saying, we need to do this. Are we doing this or something that?
Something more along the lines of this.
Right.
And yes, in this article, it shows all that. So everybody just wants to, of course, not just believe the woman, but we want to have women's back. It's like women's
1000%.
empowerment. You know, you're not going to like deny someone's claims.
No.
But the thing is also, in today's day, you can't just use that as an excuse to just like be believed for whatever you say. Take the time to wait a minute. Like we knew was going to happen. You know, we want to see his side.
Right.
So
do the research.
Of course there was going to be a his side, you know, because also with all those interviews coming out, it wasn't just, you know, the baby bump or whatever. It was also her being problematic in the past on everything she's worked with, whether it was with like Anna Kendrick, they didn't really like each other. Leighton Meester, they didn't like each other.
Right.
Armie Hammer, when he was asked who was the hardest person to work with on a Gossip Girl, and it was clearly he was.
By the way, we don't support Armie Hammer
at all.
Cannibal weirdo.
I mean, okay. Less likely to eat was Blake Lively.
Yeah.
But all those things. So basically, she felt, obviously, by hiring a crisis PR team, like she was blaming all of this negative attention and negative media on Justin Baldoni.
Yes.
When in reality, she created this shitstorm herself. Nobody told her to say these things or do these things in anywhere.
Act that way.
Even that hairdresser that said that he did her hair for 4 months and she didn't acknowledge him once. Like,
so
girl, you're screwed. I don't know what to tell you.
And it was like, yes, okay. Could articles maybe have been planted? Sure. But I think what people need to remember is like, because they turned, like you said, on Justin Baldoni so quickly, what people were going off of was her own doing and her interviews and what she was saying and her actions. Like, nobody was like thinking anything else. It's because she did all of that. Do you remember when she tried to save face though? During because people started calling her out, and then she posted like a post on Instagram
about
like, domestic violence also. So whatever. Yeah. So anyway, so December 21st, 2024, her lawsuit. Okay. And so
of course this is right before New Year's too. I'm sorry.
And
Christmas.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Justin Baldoni has like 3 kids, 3 daughters. By the way, daughters.
He's always been about like empowering
women. I know. Okay.
And listen, I also want to say, like, with all this being said, it's not to say that we're not like believing her and that she maybe felt uncomfortable, right? But I think like I don't like that she left things out of the story because the text messages were skewed. Okay, let's fast forward to December 22, 2024. Okay. Yeah. December 22, 2024. This is where the New York Times article drops, okay?
Oh, bombshell.
And the New York Times, bombshell investigation alleges that there was a PR campaign orchestrated to bury Blake Lively. So that's when the article came out, and obviously it's like berating Justin Baldoni and saying all these things, taking Blake's side. In the articles where the text messages were dropped, so we actually didn't see the text messages in her lawsuit. This is where we see them now, where it's like the Hailey Bieber thing comes out, and then him basically saying like he said some other things like, oh, we gotta like destroy her, what are we do, not destroy her, but like he was alleging kind of like allegedly to the fact that they needed to like do something against her. So this comes out on December 22nd. Also on December 22nd, the same day that this New York Times article comes out, Justin Baldoni is dropped by his talent agency WME. Also important to note, Blake Lively is represented by WME along with her husband, Ryan Reynolds, okay? Now, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively claim they were not involved.
Of course not.
Or had any part in this, but like, come on, okay? December 23rd comes, so like the next day, I have just like one thing, and then now people start coming out of nowhere, out of the woodworks in support of Blake Lively. So I think like Kate Beckinsale had said something. The Sisterhood of the Traveling Bands co-star said something. Michel Moron or whatever his name is. Amy Schumer, her sister. So people are coming out and supporting her. And in a statement, Blake Lively said that I hope that my legal actions help pull back the curtains on these sinister retaliatory tactics to harm people who speak up about misconduct and helps protect others who are targeted. Okay, so now everyone hates Justin Baldoni. So this is where we're at. So now everyone's like, whoa, fuck Justin Baldoni, narcissist. Also, at this time, his proposal video comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel
like we had different opinions on that because I felt like you thought it was weird.
I did think it was weird, but I can still
so.
think it was weird and like him and believe him. But I thought it was was it a little cringy in my eyes? Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't made for your eyes. You know what I mean?
Then why was it on the internet?
I don't know who put it on the internet.
Why would it be there?
But it was a proposal video for his wife, and I just felt like if his wife liked it and it was like whatever, and he went out of his way to do all that, like that just shows something to me. Like it could be cringy, but
no, and I'm not saying it's not like a nice gesture he did for her, but it was a little cringy. Like
if you do see it through the eyes of like him being a narcissist, I understand why you can pinpoint him as a narcissist with all those different scenes and X, Y, and Z. But I think he was just going above and beyond. I think,
and
like making
could
a
have
little
been
movie.
that way.
Either way,
now,
like we said, there's always two sides of the story.
Yes.
So that same day, on the 23rd of December, Baldoni's lawyers respond. And they are responding to the sexual harassment lawsuit, which at this point is actually just a civil complaint by Blake Lively.
Yes.
And they said audiences found Lively's own actions, interviews, and marketing during promotional tour distasteful and responded organically to that, which the media themselves picked up on, which is exactly what we basically just said. Like, it's like people aren't hating on her for anything other than like things that got resurfaced.
Right.
And she might be saying like, oh, these people resurfaced them. But like, it's like at the end of the day, it's like,
you're in it. It's about you. It's you. It's not AI. It wasn't AI. It was you.
It wasn't a deep fake.
No, it was her. So that's why it's confusing.
Correct. And so that same day after the lawyers respond, Blake was supposed to appear on SNL, which she does not. Christmas Eve, Justin's award, which we had mentioned before, the Vital Voices Award, actually gets rescinded. Which, wow.
So it's a total like 180.
This is
now
crazy.
It's a Justin Baldoni takedown, okay?
Exactly. So awful. And even their co-star Brandon Sklenar, which plays Atlas in the movie, the older Atlas, yeah.
Yes.
He shares a link to the lawsuit and basically just says, for the love of God, read this. So obviously he has Blake's back as well. So Justin Baldoni has this podcast, and it's called Man Enough, and it basically touches on how men are very afraid to be in touch with their feminine side and things. It's such a like.
Yes.
The whole thing is just so ironic.
Yeah, it's so
ironic. So he has two co-hosts. One of them is James Healy, which is also mentioned in the civil suit and everything, and Liz Plank, and they've been really good friends for years on years. She ends up leaving the podcast, further just demolishing anything that we thought about him. So then Christmas Day comes, and Stephanie Jones, which is his former publicist, ends up suing Justin Baldoni as well for breach of contract, because I guess he was working with someone else that was also on her team.
Yes.
Alongside with this the crisis PR team.
Yeah, and it's like so important to note too that I think the person, was it Melissa Nathan that he was working with that worked for her? I don't remember
Melissa
who it was.
Nathan.
He was working with someone, but Melissa or whoever it was actually ended up leaving Stephanie's firm, allegedly, and went and continued to work with Justin, apparently to do this whole smear campaign against Blake Lively. So Stephanie's basically saying, like, I was not involved in that, and they were kind of doing it on the sides. Now, you remember that the New York Times had all those text messages that Blake provided or whatever? How did they get that? Because, like, it's not like Justin willingly gave it. Stephanie, because the other publicist was texting Justin all of this on her work phone, which is how Blake Lively got those text messages, that the first set that we had originally seen against Justin Baldoni.
Right. Okay. And so after all that happens, on the 27th, Ryan Reynolds, the poor victim, he hints at a difficult time in an Instagram post, saying certain experiences had eaten away at him, calling it a time where he really didn't feel like putting the suit on.
Like, just a moment of silence.
Theatrics.
Wait, a moment of silence, please.
I can't.
For a privileged white man, let's just...
Okay. So January 1st comes, and finally we hear something from Justin Baldoni. We've heard from his lawyers, which responded to Blake Lively's civil suit. But now Baldoni is suing the New York Times for $250 million over the article that they ran. And his claims include that they cherry-picked and altered communications and removed necessary context from the text messages, which ended up misleading the public. And obviously, his career is in shambles right now.
Everything. Everyone dropped him. Everyone.
So basically, he's suing for libel. And that's just like one of others lawsuits that come about. But there was also this whole thing that was discussed that we wanted to mention, where Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively apparently had him come over to their penthouse, with like a couple of like Sony executives as well.
With the Sony representative and I think some producers.
Right. And so basically he just thought, it was just like a normal meeting. Maybe they were going to run some lines, go over some things. It ended up being like a berating session from Ryan Reynolds. And it all had to do with this whole topic of Blake's weight, because she had just had a baby. And Justin Baldoni has had previous back issues in the past, and he worked with a physical therapist. So he needed to know her weight in order to carry her without causing injury to his back.
Right.
However, he completely gets berated by Ryan Reynolds for even mentioning this whole thing about Blake's weight, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, so it turns into like a whole like let's just fucking go after Justin Baldoni. And one of the Sony producers actually came out and said after the fact that
that it was the worst thing he's ever seen. Like the worst berating, basically.
She's ever seen, yeah.
Yeah.
And that she wished she would have stopped it.
And you know what's funny? I did hear that Ryan Reynolds did answer back to that and said that he definitely was not yelling or anything like that. That he was just speaking sternly. Or maybe it was someone just on his side. But either way, that there was like no yelling involved. But on the other side, we're hearing that he absolutely lost his freaking shit. Which I
believe.
Yeah, Birchright says it all. All right, so.
We should go through that.
I know, right? So basically, also, the text messages. There's so much with the text messages when you look at Blake Lively's versus Justin's. And so some of them I did right here because I wanted to compare them. Kind of like the body shaming one, which we decided, was the whole thing because of the physical therapy. So that's not even a text message.
Right.
But the no intimacy coordinator, which Leanne did mention earlier that Blake Lively's like, yeah, I shouldn't be doing that, there should be an intimacy coordinator. She claimed there was no intimacy coordinator in her suit. And in Justin's text messages, it clearly shows a screenshot that he's sending someone between him and Blake where he is telling Blake or like kind of asking her when she would be able to meet with this intimacy coordinator, just like get a feel and like X, Y, and Z. She's like, no, it's okay. Don't, she doesn't want to meet with them. Doesn't have to. So it's completely contradicting her claims about not having an intimacy coordinator. She was completely aware that there was one.
Completely contradicting. That was actually very shocking because the intimacy coordinator was like the number one. There was a lot of problems, but that one was like a huge one that she had an issue with. Okay, so I also have been seeing people on TikTok saying like, well, maybe she didn't want to meet with the intimacy coordinator that day. Maybe she met with the intimacy coordinator another day, but that day she wasn't like feeling it.
Okay, but if she's going to make it such an important part of the movie to have one, then she should make it an important... Then you should be meeting it,
right, to make that
period.
Meeting. Yeah.
When are you available?
Right. Yeah, she should have said, actually, I can't meet with her today, but I'll text her and we'll meet tomorrow at like 10 a.m., whatever. Like, reschedule.
Why do you think, though? It's because she is the type of person, in my opinion, that just wants to be the authoritarian of everything. And like control. Notice how she was the intimacy coordinator in that scene. Okay.
Yeah.
So, the whole thing where we had spoken about the list of demands that she needed in order to start filming again.
Yes.
One of them was not barging into her room mid-changing. And this was in reference to Justin Baldoni as well as James Healy. Hilariously enough, there are text messages that basically show her texting Justin. Justin's kind of like, oh, hey, like, do you want to run through some lines? And she's like, oh, I'm in my trailer pumping. Just come on over.
Come on in. Yeah. What? That totally negates what you said. in your lawsuit or what was in the New York Times piece that said that he just barged into your room while you were practically naked. And here's the thing. Had she said, yes, I did invite him into my room while I was breastfeeding. However, he made me feel extremely uncomfortable. And I thought that, we had that relationship where he couldn't make me uncomfortable. Had she had said that, yeah, I did invite him, but then like immediately regretted it because he made me feel uncomfortable, I would have believed her. But she's lying about the whole thing to begin with. So it's like now everything you're saying is really hard to believe.
Well, it doesn't add up. And like also it's like even in a regular world, like you don't just... I mean, and it should be accepted if, like, you want to pump, go pump. But, like, you usually go somewhere. It's, like, a private thing, you know? Like, that's not just, like, being like, oh, I'm trying on some clothes. And then, like, she's fully clothed when he walks in. It's, like, her tit is out.
You could cover it, though. See, I have a different opinion on that.
Know.
Like, I don't mind when I'm, like, at the airport or something. And if you have to pump, you have to pump. And you just cover it with something. Like, I am fine.
But don't you see that there's no power dynamic there? Because would you do that in front of your boss, your director?
Lines are blurred. For
exactly.
Sure.
Exactly.
Lines are blurred. Yeah.
That's when you know. Yeah. You know? It's like, that's just like, I don't know.
It's just the lie. That it's like, whatever the hell you were doing, you lied and said he barged. Like, I think she used that word, barged in.
Which he would never. Anyways, so she also was claiming that Justin Baldoni was crying, apparently for hours in her trailer about her image and how she just like wasn't sexy enough and things like that. And then there's these text messages on his side that are coming out where she's basically creating like this like a sexier image, or so she says. And I do have the text message, which I would love to read.
Yes, please do. Please do.
1 second. So it's text messages between her and Justin Baldoni. And Blake goes, just text Ange this also. And then she texts again. We'll show you both ways, but Beanie is much sexier. It's the look. Feels TV without, especially with a crop top in the snow. It justifies the rest of the skin. And also... And also is a girl I would check out walking down the street because it washes the effort off the rest of the look. Which, by the way, what the hell are you saying?
I have no idea what any of that
I don't know why she's trying to be like Woody Allen artistic. Like, get the hell out of here. But also, just the mention of being sexy, like the skin, it negates again.
Right.
About him trying to get her to be sexier and to wear sexier things. That's completely contradicting.
It's like you were saying that, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was also these other text messages, for example, where there was this shot that he wanted to do with her shoulder in the shot, and she was the one that said like, oh no, it should be me, like if anything,
right?
Because I guess they were going to use like a double or something. She's like, no, it should be me. It's just like the whole thing is just so wild. And also with this whole thing where he like apparently whispered like sweet nothings in her ear. I don't have the text message handy, but right after these, he had said something about like, oh, and so it's like R, which means Ryle, and like what he's going to say, and then what Lily says, and then what Ryle says, and then it's like, and then he like whispers in her ear. It's like all there.
Right.
In text message. So she saw that. She knew that was going to happen.
Well, okay. And the whispering in her ear, she had said that was like inappropriate or something? Or
that was in her claim.
Okay. I don't
and
remember
that
he
said that it smelled nice.
Her ear?
I don't know.
The wax of her ear?
I don't know what he was referring to, but I think she was trying to make it sound nefarious. I don't know. But the whole thing is just so wild. Also, I just think the whole entire like manipulation on the cast is so evident because he was not invited to any of the premieres. He was actually ex-invited. They were never together. He was always alone. It's really sad, honestly, to see.
It was sad.
Because it's just like, it's his baby. Like, he really cherry-picked this story. And I wanted to read this text message, too. I mean, there's
with
so
the editors,
many.
The one with the editors of them telling him that the premiere was tonight or something, and him basically had no idea that the premiere was that night, and they were like, okay, well, and what did he say? I guess we'll keep taking the high road. Exactly. I guess we'll keep taking the high road.
Yeah, and how about when he goes, oh, just let me know when you see her cut. And then someone goes, oh, apparently we're not allowed to. And he's like, what? The director and the editors can't see an actress's cut? Like, this is real life right now. Like, this is crazy. And so this proves it all. Like, in a nutshell, I feel like we can end with this. Justin Baldoni says, she's kicked me out officially from the film now. She's finishing it all. I can't be involved. Music, sound, video effects. Because he wrote VFX.
Video
right?
effects,
He's trendy.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
I'll make it through somehow. Just need to feel it all.
So sad. Can we also talk about how nice he was to her in the text messages that were released, like when her and her baby were sick? And
well, see, this is like the whole theories that I kind of want to get into, where I feel like Ryan Reynolds really has like
we have to get into our
almost everything to do with it.
Oh, 1,000. Oh, also how supportive he was in the text messages when he's like, by the way, if you ever feel like you're overstepping or if you think we need a shot or like anything regarding the movie, like please come to me. Like I'm basically saying like I'm so happy to take your thoughts and opinions on this. Like what?
What was it? It was the shoulder scene. And then she's like, oh, yeah, you know, I didn't know if you were going to add that scene like from the book, but I was like, you know, I didn't want to overstep. And he's like, no, don't ever think you're overstepping.
Yeah.
She took that literal.
Oh, she put
like, on her big shoes.
Yeah, and she fucking stomped on him. Also, the text messages between him and Melissa, like his publicist, Melissa Nathan, where he's like, are we putting this out there? Are we the ones doing this? And she's like, no, oh my gosh, absolutely not. We wouldn't do it. So even if she was, I don't know what the hell she was doing over there, it shows that he was concerned. He was like, hey, like, I hope that we're not the ones putting that out there because not a good look, you know?
Exactly.
Not a good look.
Okay, so January 1st, that same day, so after, you know, he filed the lawsuit against New York Times, Blake Lively officially filed a suit, because remember, it was a civil claim before, now it's actual suit, where she's accusing Baldoni and his PR team of organizing a sophisticated scheme to undermine her reputation in retaliation for speaking up about alleged misconduct on set. And you know what I thought was weird? That she did not sue for sexual harassment in this one.
Well, because then the text messages came out and like it's gone, right? All of a sudden,
she wanted that sympathy, you know, and after the Me Too movement and everything, and no hate, because I don't want to like, you know, in the future be like, oh, this isn't true, because I hope that people that do come forward are coming forward with honesty. But I feel like it's people with her, and I'm not saying her entire story isn't true,
wrong,
but it's like the holes that she creates really does create like this, like, oh.
There's like this ambiguity, this like, I want to believe you, right? Like, I want to believe you because if you're speaking up about that and you felt that strongly about it, I want to believe you, but there are so many holes in her story that it's like impossible.
It's not right. So the next day, New York Times and Justin Baldoni's lawyers respond. New York Times spokesperson saying they plan to vigorously defend against the lawsuit as Mr. Baldoni, the other subjects of the article, and their representatives have not pointed to a single error. Really? Because I'm pretty sure they showed a bunch of the messages that were extracted from the New York Times version.
Yeah, and
like,
it was very contradicting.
The emoji.
Yeah. And it was very contradicting.
Exactly. And then Baldoni's attorney in a separate statement said that there was a vicious smear campaign organized by Blake Lively and her team and covered by the New York Times to the wants and whims of two powerful, untouchable Hollywood elites disregarding journalistic practices and ethics. And he's basically saying they're ready. They're ready to throw out every single text message that was ever sent. They're ready. They're fully armed, ammo,
ready to go. And so right now, we're just waiting. The public is like, all right, let's go. We're waiting. Give us the tea.
I know, but
as if there's not enough tea.
The tea that they've given us is so good.
Girl, it's so good.
Okay, so
now our thoughts.
Right. So,
I mean, it's very clear.
Not really. I don't think I feel like this is really Ryan Reynolds, all of it. I don't think that Blake Lively wants to do this, but I really, truly feel like their relationship kind of depends on it. I feel like he even said he was like a jealous husband, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, like Justin Baldoni is something to be jealous about if you're a husband.
Yes.
Not only is he physically just stunning, his personality, to the point that it bothered him so bad that if you watch Deadpool and you see Nice Pool, it's kind of obvious who Nice Pool is, you know? And it's so ironic how they paint him out to be this nefarious creature, yet in the movie, he's Nice Pool.
Right.
Who loves women and is so nice and, you know what I mean, is a self-proclaimed feminist.
Yes, doesn't he say that in the clip? Self-proclaimed. So I actually didn't watch Deadpool movie, but you sent me the clip, and I was like, "What the hell?"
With the man bun.
How did we not pick up on it back then that was about?
I would have never
Baldoni?
put two and two
because
together.
now it's all coming out, and like I knew that Ryan Reynolds was involved because of the rooftop scene, so I was like, "Oh, okay, he was involved in that." Fucked up. Like I don't love that, but now I just feel like he is actually the root of this whole lawsuit. Like it's not. Yeah, it's Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, but I think it's like Ryan Reynolds in her ear or making her feel like uncomfortable. Like this is a stretch, so I'm gonna say like people might not agree with this. I kind of feel like she probably like had something towards Justin Baldoni because again their chemistry in the movie was wild, and you even see them in videos like on set now. Like they're like hugging, they're super sweet. Like it looks like they had a really like amicable relationship.
Yeah, I feel like
I feel like Ryan Reynolds
off.
did not like that. He probably read the text messages of like, why is this guy being so sweet to you? Like, blah 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 blah. Also, you read me his chart, which like we went over. Should we go over his chart because that is wild?
Yeah,
for the horoscope girlies.
So before even getting into astrology or anything, I just feel. I mean, it just goes along with everything that we've been saying. Where whether or not she did have something towards him, and I mean, it kind of seems that way, like chemistry-wise on screen, fine. If we're seeing that, the husband's probably seeing that too, And then on top of that, his validation he's getting, what if he read that text message when she was out and sick, and he's just like, I'm so sorry, this is the last thing you need, please take your time, if you need anything, I'm here for you. She has a husband. She doesn't need anything from you, Yeah. On top of that, after all this, everything's said and done, and I'm looking at it from Ryan Reynolds' point of view. His wife is in the trenches while this guy is being celebrated. Like, he has so much jealousy towards, I think this is all everything.
Envy.
It's what it is.
Ego, envy, all of that.
It is what it is. So looking at his chart is scary. No, I'm kidding. But he's really just like all Scorpio, 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 and then like touches of Libra, which makes sense, which is how he gets his little charm and like his likability. He's a social butterfly. He really is. And he's able to mask the darker side, but all those Scorpio placements just scream manipulation, screams possession, screams I will get you.
Yes.
And it's so funny because almost all of his placements are in his second house, which is finances. That's what he cares about.
Yeah. And his reputation, I'm sure. And with his reputation, like, you need to be in good standing with the people, with the Commonwealth, okay?
The Commonwealth,
with
the commoners.
Commonwealth, with us little people.
No, 100%.
In order to make sure that because in Hollywood, it's all like, if your image is good, you're making money. Your image is bad, you're fucking done. We saw how quickly everyone
you're done.
Flipped on Blake Lively and flipped on Justin Baldoni. But I actually think, like, I had actually seen an interview that she said that every time he films a movie as well, that she's always on set and she's very involved too.
Well,
so
she
it's like,
said that though because she plays Lady Pool in the movie.
Okay, so maybe it's that.
You didn't watch the movie, but basically like there's like a whole gang of Deadpools, and they all and like there's one with like a blonde.
Oh, I saw that. Like,
so that's her.
Okay,
you know, and I guess she like. Oh, and she like helped with all the songs. Like there's like Bye Bye Bye. There's like all these like Avril
Don't they make a
Lavigne.
Gossip Girl reference in it too? There's like a Gossip Girl reference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why she says that. She's like, oh, he's involved with mine, and I'm in. They're just they were trying to market each other there. But I think that there's his fame, his power, whatever it is, got to his head real freaking quick. And I feel like this is a power move. This is a power struggle that he's having. I'm telling you, because of those placements. I believe it. It's dominating. Like, it's like he needs to put Justin to the ground. Because, like, think about if you're going to sue someone, right? Why would you do that? You're doing it for money. Do they need money from Justin Baldoni?
It's his reputation. It's like it's a power move.
They want to just ruin him.
It's a power move.
Exactly.
It's just what Justin Baldoni said. It's like in a power move by this elite Hollywood couple. It also screams, which I've always thought about this, and I know we have said this, it screams insecurity. Like how he's such a jokester. So maybe I'm giving a very biased opinion because I've actually never liked Ryan Reynolds as a person. I think he's very, when people are just like always jokey and like overcompensating and very like, like when an interview asks him a serious question, he before any of this happened, I remember talking to my sister about this. He has to be like, oh, well, what are you doing tonight? And I did with, like, so jokey and annoying. And, like, he's never, like, serious. He is the most unserious, annoying person I've ever met in my life. And to me, that always screams, like, insecurity, overcompensating. He's trying to, like, overcompensate because he's so insecure. He can't be himself.
Exactly. He knows probably throughout his life that that's how he has won people over.
Yes.
By playing this character.
Yeah.
Notice how he plays the same exact character in every movie.
Every movie. He has no range.
Nothing.
No range.
Nothing. I think I would drop dead if I saw him as, like, a serial killer in a movie that didn't crack a joke. You know what I mean?
He would be like a funny serial killer. Like
literally.
A comedic one. Yeah.
Dude, it's such a joke. And same with Blake Lively, like her chart is super interesting. The fact that she's straight Virgo all the way down and has a Leo rising, that to me just screams someone that needs control. That that's just, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, her and Ryan are just such they seem like a good couple, but I feel like there is something toxic going on, especially when you see her in interviews and how she tries to pull Ryan Reynolds jokes, but they don't fall. They don't land. They don't land. They sound. She just like what? Like that wasn't funny.
It wasn't funny, and I actually do you remember the movie A Simple Favor that she did with Anna Kendrick?
Yes.
More interviews now are resurfacing of that time on TikTok, and she has always been like this. She's always been like, she's trying to joke. And Anna Kendrick's like that too. So it was like, with both of them, it was like the most freaking awkward thing.
I love Anna Kendrick though.
And so in one of those interviews, Anna Kendrick said, because the interview asked like, oh, have you guys ever met before this movie? And Anna Kendrick's like, oh yeah, we met once. Like, I think I was doing a movie with your husband, Ryan, and like we met, you were on set one day, and Blake was like, like you could tell there was like some weird tension there.
All of
like
it.
Something
what about
strange.
The one for Gossip Girl, Leighton Meester, and she was like, oh, well, you know, everyone knows blondes are nicer, and like no one says anything in the crowd. Did you see
how Leighton laughed though? She was
like, yeah, okay. Or even when she's like, oh yeah, you know, I said that if I was gonna play Serena, that Chuck couldn't have a monkey, but then I ended up getting all these monkeys instead, talking about the cast. She's like, I'm just kidding, guys, but it's like, it's not landing.
Nobody laughed though. Everyone was like, what are you doing?
It's giving just like Mean Girl trying to be funny and like friends.
Relatable. But don't you think it would have landed if they were all friends? Like if they were all friends, and I'd be like, yeah, and I'm working with these monkeys. All of my friends would have been like, oh my God, Lan, you're so dumb.
Of course, you're the ringleader,
right?
You know, or like
of course.
Something.
But because like there was no chemistry or any sort of friendship between her and that cast, they were all like crickets.
Dude, and how about these interviews of It Ends With Us where she's late, where she's answering all the questions, where she acts like she's like the only person in the movie?
Nobody. And when someone else, there's an interview with like her and the girl who plays Young Lily. Mm-hmm. They ask her a question and she jumps in and answers on her behalf. Like doesn't even let her speak.
I can't.
Doesn't let her speak. And also, since then, by the way, I actually saw this on TikTok this morning. The crew have come out and said how difficult it was to work with her. And remember how we were talking about that? Like if certain things weren't done a certain way and her demands weren't met, that she wouldn't promote the movie anymore and she wouldn't do this. She changed costume team that like literally just went in there and like was like, no, fuck your costumes, like these are the costumes. Like she went in and just like took over.
She knew that. I mean, they knew they had power over this, you know, and having them promoting the movie is huge, especially alongside Wolverine and Deadpool.
Yes.
So they knew they had a hit if they had Blake Lively, and she took advantage, honey.
She took advantage.
And you know what? Maybe you can call us biased, that's fine. I will take that, but I don't know. I feel like I read people well, and Team Baldoni, baby.
With that being said, I know it sounds like we're biased to Justin Baldoni because, I mean, the evidence, here's the thing. The evidence points more in his favor. However, if she really felt sexually harassed or felt uncomfortable, like obviously, like we support women, like we've made that very clear in our podcast. So we're not saying like she deserved it or anything. Like it's just the lies and the holes in her story. Like, and I also think because they're such an elite couple that they think they can just do whatever they want and stomp on whoever they want and ruin anyone's career that they want. And so that's what I don't like. I feel like it's more about that versus like the actual lawsuit, but I just feel like I can't wait for these text messages because there's something big.
Yeah,
missing
I
here.
can't wait for the entire just like court case for everything to come out, like Johnny Depp, Amber Heard round 2, you know. But I feel, and I know, I don't know, maybe I don't know. I feel like you're a little bit more open-minded. I feel like for me, I don't know. There was just something always that I saw with Blake Lively, and she just reminds me a lot of J-Lo energy. She's a little rising. But what I was going to say is pattern recognition, okay? And just like realizing things like when you see them interacting in those little videos here and there, you know, he was always very polite. He would give her like a hug or like something before he left. You saw those, you know, when they were interacting on set, okay? If these allegations that she's claiming are true and she felt very uncomfortable, just like we said, her with her power and her husband with her power, why would they not stop it right then and there? Like completely, what, like the calculation of the timing of the lawsuit and everything is what gets to me. It's after everything, like her reputation has gone to shambles. It's like now they want to talk about all these things that went on there.
Right. And also why people were saying like, and I think you mentioned this, it's like in the beginning when he hired Johnny Depp's like PR firm, why would he do that if something wasn't brewing, if something bigger wasn't, like if he already didn't know that they were gonna fucking come hard for him? And they are Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, okay? Taylor Swift's BFF and Ryan Reynolds is like the it guy in Hollywood. Like everyone loves him. Like why would he hire a PR firm, not only a PR firm, Johnny Depp's PR firm, if he didn't think that they were gonna fucking come for him?
No, they were waiting on the sidelines, like ready. I mean, she already took over his entire project, you know? So it was only a matter of time. I was also gonna say another thing, these whole claims that, another thing that just really just contradicts everything, where like Ryan Reynolds was always on set. Really? So when did all this happen? When did all this take place if Ryan Reynolds was always on set?
Right.
It makes no sense to me.
It's just a lot of missing things. So that's why these text messages, I think, are going to fill in. Like, because right now we're speculating, right? That Ryan Reynolds is like a jealous husband. Like, we're just like, this is allegedly speculating our thoughts on it. However, like,
I feel like this is going to be the end of their marriage.
Someone said that. And that's another thing that people are now speculating, that they're like, ooh, divorce is coming soon. Like
I said that. I think this is her attempt to save their marriage in a sense, because he's pushing her to do it, but I don't think she wants to do it, because this is a whole lot, and a lot of things are going to come out that he didn't tell her. I mean, she didn't tell him. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be a game changer, and I think there's going to be I think they're done. I don't think they can come back from this as a couple.
I'm like, do you think, I just want to see those text messages because I just
have a gut feeling. Ugh. A gut feeling.
Someone's going down and getting ruined. And like,
because even Ryan Reynolds reading that text message where she's like, oh, this will look sexier. Like, I don't know if he knew about that one.
Maybe he didn't. Maybe he did. I don't know.
I don't know.
But we're about to
it's just like weird claims to make if you know that she had said that. You know?
Yes.
And I feel like this lawsuit, maybe she filed it, but I think he had everything to do with it. You know, the claims
because of the pressure that he was putting on her.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because remember, too, that he probably was like, Blake, this not only affects your reputation, like now you're affecting my reputation, and these text messages and all these things. And like you had said about his chart, like he cares about money, which ties directly with his reputation. So he was probably like, we need to get in front of this because, like, I am Deadpool. Like, I am beloved, you know? I am Ryan fucking Reynolds.
No, and he's convinced
that he's a shit.
That he got him, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
We shall see, guys. Okay.
But that's it. Yes. I think for this episode, next episode, we'll have a little bit more of a variety. But obviously, with this going on, I just think that it's best to
do the good work for the people.
For the people.
Because
anything for you.
Anything for you. We will suffer for you.
We love it. We love it. Go, Justin Baldoni, I love you.
Bye.
I really do.
Babe, we're done.